Hi, my name is Rosa Agudo. I'm from American Samoa. I was born there. When I was a baby, my parents decided that we were going to fly to West Samoa to visit our family. My grandparents lived there. We visited, then we returned back to American Samoa. And then after that, my parents decided that they wanted to move back to West Samoa. And at that time, they realized there was something wrong with my hearing, so they took me to the hospital. The doctors did all sorts of tests and found the reason was because I had had a fever and my brain had swelled and caused me to be deaf. My mom was really upset, didn't know what to do. The doctor explained, and my mom was, no, I'm really upset. I want her to be hearing. And finally, after talking with the doctor, she accepted it. I was in the hospital for a few days, laying in bed, and had all sorts of medical equipment, attached to me, an IV, and my mom came in and saw the doctor leave, and she made the decision to take everything off of me and took me out of the hospital. So the doctor comes back in, and he's like very confused because I'm gone, and he's upset, trying to figure out what had happened, and they realized that my mom had taken me. She took me home, put me in my own bed, and I woke up and was feeling more comfortable. She was still very upset that I was deaf. Later, as I was growing up, another problem happened. My feet were kind of malformed, and I couldn't walk very well. My mom was like, I'm not taking you to the doctor. We're going to take care of this ourselves. So the family together massaged my feet to kind of straighten them out, and then I could walk better. Later, when I was 5, it was time for me to go to school. My aunt was a teacher. So I went to school, and it was awkward. I couldn't understand anything. I was just having to write things, and it was a hearing school. Everybody was talking, and I told my aunt, I don't want to be here. I don't understand. And so I just left and went home. My grandmother was like, why are you here? Why aren't you at school? And I explained the situation to her, and she said, okay, well, stay home. We'll try school at some other time. So later, when I was 7, my grandmother said, okay, let's try school again. And I said, no, I just don't understand the communication. There's no signing. It's very hard. So my uncle I was adopted by my uncle, and shortly after that my grandmother died, and I felt terrible. I was so sad. In the area we were living with my uncle, people wouldn't use my name. They just kept calling me deaf. And I said, no, my name is Rosa. No, you're just deaf. And this really upset me. So my uncle finally was able to find me a school for deaf, but it was using a different language. It was using Samoan Sign Language. So I learned that, and when I was about 14, it was time for me. I was finished with that school. It was time for me to transfer, but there were no other schools for the deaf. It was all hearing. There were no interpreters, and so I went back home to my uncle. What are we going to do? Can I stay home? So I took 3 classes there. Communication was really hard with my cousins, the family. I tried to understand, but they were so mean and would hit me and just torment me and make fun of me because of, needing to sign. And they were very abusive. So I'm at home. I'm not communicating. And my mom had been looking for me, and she found me. And she cried and hugged me, and I told her the whole story of how awful it had been with the abuse, and how what a struggle I had had, and it led to a huge argument within the family. And finally my mom just said, "Okay, we're done. You're leaving, coming with me." So we left. We discussed moving back to American Samoa. And so we went to the hospital to find my birth certificate. Finally found it, and were able to, say goodbye to the family and move back to American Samoa. So we found a new school that was taught in ASL, and it was pretty strange. I couldn't understand. I felt kind of over my head. I kept asking for clarification, didn't know what was going on. So I decided to be in a room videoed by myself, talking with somebody on the video phone, and then I would go home and study and come back and kind of learn that way. So I did this for 2 weeks, and then came back to the teacher, and things were much better. We signed. The teacher said, "Wow, that's much better, much clearer." I could understand the interpreters. They could ask me what things meant, and I was able to tell them, and they said, "Wow, that's just great." I was greatly relieved. So I did that for a couple of weeks, and I was ready to get my certification in ASL. I got my graduate certificate, and it was wonderful. I went and told my uncle, and he said, "Congratulations, that's great. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad you found someone to help you." But I discovered still that I was still having a hard time communicating with my uncle, and he was abusive with me, so I just thought, I'm getting out of here. At that time, I found a man who was like a father figure. He was really amazed that I wasn't able to find deaf people to talk to, that I was still having to write to communicate. So he said, "I'm going to pay to move you to Utah." So I came to Utah. I was trying to find a school to help me learn English. Couldn't find a job. It was all very frustrating. So I went to the Deaf Center and asked if there were any classes I could take. While I was there, I saw a bunch of people communicating in sign language, and I was amazed. They were so fast, and it was amazing. And so I joined in with them and started learning more sign language. Then I had people ask me about my experience and how tough it was, and I told them, yeah, it was, you don't realize how hard it was. And I would explain to them, all the things I had gone through, and they felt bad for me. And I said, "No, don't be sorry for me. I found mentor help, and was able to, do all these different things and improve. Got my education, was able to find a job. I have children. Everything's going really well." And people are like, "Wow, I'm amazed that you were able to do all that. That's great." So I've been here for 7 years, haven't been back home then. I love Utah. It's beautiful. Everything's just great. Thank you.